Welcome to the Deep Dive. Get ready to think about coffee in a whole new way because today we're diving deep into the unexpected health benefits hiding in your coffee cup.
Okay, you've definitely got my attention. I'm always up for a good coffee talk. But health benefits, what have you dug up?
Well, get this. I was listening to this podcast, Zoe Science and Nutrition, and they had coffee expert James Hoffman on with this top scientist, Professor Tim Spector.
Okay, those are some credible sources. What do they have to say?
They were breaking down all the latest research, and get ready for it, because it turns out coffee might actually be good for you.
Wait, really? I feel like I hear so much conflicting information about coffee. One minute it's good for you, the next it's bad. What's the real deal?
Exactly. And that's what I loved about this deep dive. They really dug into the science behind it all. Turns out, coffee is packed with these things called polyphenols.
Polyphenols, aren't those antioxidants?
You got it. Think of them like tiny little superheroes protecting your cells from damage. And studies are linking them to all sorts of amazing health benefits.
So it's more than just a caffeine kick.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually some serious science backing up coffee's potential health benefits.
You know I love my caffeine, but this was news to me. And it gets even better. Remember how everyone's always on us about getting more fiber?
Don't get me started on my daily fiber intake.
Well, guess what? Coffee actually has a surprising amount of soluble fiber.
Hold on. Are you telling me my morning coffee is also a source of fiber?
Okay, maybe not as much as a big bowl of oatmeal, but Hoffman mentioned that a couple of cups of coffee can actually have as much fiber as a banana. And we all know how important fiber is for our gut health, which, as it turns out, is connected to pretty much everything when it comes to our overall health these days.
It's all connected. So we've got the antioxidants from the polyphenols, the gut-boosting fiber.
Mm-hmm.
What else did this research uncover? There's got to be more.
Oh, there's definitely more. And this is where things get really interesting. We've got to talk about this specific microbe in our gut called Lactobacillus acatinensis.
Lactobacillus acatinensis. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Right. Kitschy name. But seriously, this little microbe, it seems to absolutely love coffee.
Okay, a coffee-loving microbe. I'm intrigued. What does this little guy do?
Well, when it feasts on coffee, it helps produce a substance called quinic acid.
Quinic acid. Wait a minute, isn't that
Exactly.
connected to blood sugar regulation?
You got it. It's like this tiny little coffee-powered factory in our gut, churning out this beneficial compound. It's a prime example of how the foods we eat interact with our amazing microbiome. It's like having a little barista in your belly whipping up something good for you with every sip. But, not everyone can handle their caffeine. What about those of us who have to go decaf? Do we still get those benefits?
That's a question I hear all the time.
Oh.
And you might be surprised to hear this, but decaf coffee actually does pretty well in the polyphenol department.
Seriously. So I can still get those good things without ending up like a jittery mess.
You got it. It's not just about the caffeine. Decaf is a great option if you're sensitive to caffeine or just trying to get a good night's sleep.
Okay, so that's good to know. But you know me, I can't resist a good gadget, and I've got to ask, does how we brew our coffee affect any of this?
What, you mean there's more to it than just hitting the brew button on my coffee maker?
It might be time to dust off that French press. It turns out that different brewing methods can really impact how much of those good things actually end up in your cup.
Oh, really? I never even thought about it like that.
Right. It's all about the extraction process, how long the water hangs out with those coffee grounds, and whether it's a French press, an AeroPress, or even just a good old drip coffee maker, they all use different temperatures and timings.
So we might want to be a bit more mindful of our brewing methods if we're looking to get the most out of our coffee.
Exactly. It's kind of like anything else in life. The better the process, the better the outcome. And speaking of quality, we've got to talk about the beans themselves.
I was just thinking that. Does the type of coffee bean matter?
Absolutely. Remember that coffee expert we mentioned, James Hoffman? Well, he's a huge advocate for independent coffee shops because they tend to really focus on the quality of their beans.
Fresher, better tasting beans. That makes sense.
And those fresher beans probably have a higher concentration of those amazing polyphenols we've been talking about, right?
Plus, let's be real, there's just something special about the vibe in a good independent coffee shop. The aroma, those expert baristas, it's all part of the experience.
It's like a ritual, not just a caffeine fix. But, we have to address this. What about coffee and blood pressure? That's something I hear a lot of people worry about.
That's definitely a valid concern. But Professor Spector actually talked about this on the podcast. He said that while it's true that people who are new to coffee might experience a little temporary spike in blood pressure,
their bodies are probably like, what is this magic potion?
right. But after a few weeks, things usually level out.
It's like your body's getting acquainted with this wonderful new beverage. And you know what's even more interesting?
What?
For people who've been enjoying coffee for a while, there's actually some evidence that it might even lead to a slight decrease in blood pressure in the long run.
That is interesting. Although, we should add a disclaimer here. Moderation is key, and everyone's body is different.
Absolutely. Listen to your body, check in with your doctor, and enjoy your coffee responsibly.
Okay, but before we move on, we have to talk about the elephant in the coffee aisle.
Instant coffee. I know. So many people rely on it, but is it actually doing us any good?
Spill the beans.
Well, we put it to the test. And while instant coffee did have a tiny bit of fiber, it was like the distant cousin of freshly brewed coffee when it came to polyphenols.
That makes sense. Think about how much processing goes into making instant coffee. It's all about convenience, not really designed to preserve those delicate compounds.
Right. It's kind of like comparing a perfectly ripe, juicy peach to a peach-flavored candy. Sure, you get a hint of the flavor, but you're missing out on the real deal. And remember that coffee kombucha we were curious about? Well, it turns out it actually had a decent amount of polyphenols.
That's fascinating. It shows how exploring different cultures and their approaches to coffee can lead us to discover new and surprising benefits. Who knew fermentation could add another layer of health to our cup of joe?
Right. It really opens up a whole new world of coffee experiences. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from gut microbes to brewing techniques. What would you say is the most important thing for our listener to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. We need to stop thinking of coffee as just a guilty pleasure or a quick energy boost. This deep dive has shown us that coffee, when enjoyed mindfully and brewed with care, can actually be a valuable part of a healthy lifestyle.
It's like coffee's finally getting the recognition it deserves. No more guilt trips for enjoying that morning cup.
Exactly. And for me, this deep dive sparked a new curiosity. What other everyday foods might we be underestimating?
It's a great question to ponder. What if our kitchens are full of hidden health benefits just waiting to be unlocked? Maybe it's time we all start looking at our plates a little differently.